I really appreciate all the love and support during this time. But I must say, please don't feel sorry for me. I'm good. I'm good. So, Acho, what's your reaction to Cam Newton being released? Come on, man. Not at the funeral. Not right now. It's too early, bro. Too early.
I'm not surprised.
I know you're not. Come on.
I told y'all.
Oh, come on.
Y'all ain't want to listen. I told you, Sale, you ain't want to listen. Clearly, Colin and Joy, they don't watch our show because they ain't want to listen. I'm not surprised. Now, here is what has become abundantly clear in 2021. I may not like it. You may not like it. Sale, you may not like it. But it's become abundantly clear. You cannot be mediocre and unvaccinated. You have to pick one.
Ooh.
Can't be both.
Ooh.
You can't be mediocre and unvaccinated. You gotta die on one hill.
That part.
Cole Beasley, we know he unvaccinated, but he balled last year. All pro. He was a dude. Lamar Jackson, we know he unvaccinated, but he was a unanimous MVP. He was a dude. Cam Newton unvaccinated. But Cam Newton has not been a dude as of late. Can't be mediocre and unvaccinated. It's a terrible combination. It will land you on the streets. I'm not surprised. Now, the other reason I'm not surprised is this. Quarterbacks that start in the NFL, they start for one of three reasons or for all three reasons. Talent, potential, reliability. One of three or all three. Talent, potential, reliability.
Gotcha.
Let's look at Washington, the football team. Ryan Fitzpatrick, not that talented, doesn't have a ton of potential, but boy, is he reliable. Maybe the greatest Wonderlic test taker of all time. On the flip side, you look at, say, Gardner Minshew. Statistically, he's actually incredibly talented. Look at his stats. Yeah. Potential, not that much. Reliability, that's irrelevant because the potential's not there. But then you look at Cam Newton. Talented, it's going down the hill, unfortunately. Cam Newton, a former league MVP, put respect on his old name at a minimum. Potential, ceiling, he's already eclipsed the ceiling. His best years are behind him, 2015, 2017, etc. Reliable, that is where you have an issue. I'm not even talking about Cam Newton being injured back in 2018, the end of that season, 2019, the entirety of that season. But he missed a game with COVID last year, and then remember he fluttered because of it. Then he missed practice with COVID this year. Whether he is unlucky or uncareful, and I know that ain't a word, he's still in the midst of COVID. It might be unlucky. Let's call the spade a spade. Who even knows how you contract it this day and age? It might be unlucky. Or he might be uncareful. But either way, he's unemployed at this point. And it's unfortunate because we know
Damn, you got a lot of uhs in there. Keep going.
I didn't plan that one. I didn't even catch that one. It's unfortunate because we know how talented Cam is. I'm going to say one little last thing, and then I'm going to get off the mic. It's, Cam, you left the Patriots no choice. And he left them no choice, Sal, because Cam Newton said, I want to be a starter in this league. So you're either a starter or you're unemployed. We know you're talented enough to be a backup on this team, but you left the Patriots no choice, and here's where Cam lies.
Yeah, you said a lot. I'm going to have to echo some of that, and I'm going to try to add to what you said. Where'd you go? Where were you last week on vacation?
Your boy was in Jamaica.
Oh, that's
Jamaica, man. Yeah, man. Out there.
I can taste that raw coming out of you now. You ain't playing no games in this race. You taking off. Goodness. All right. Well, let me run with you so you won't be alone. Cam Newton, my reaction to this, it goes back to one of my favorite Wileyisms. There is a freedom of choice, but not a freedom of consequence. God dog it. Pick a side. And he picked his side. And he picked a side that's interesting. I think my conjecture of this is, in reaction, talk to a few people that hover around the Patriots facility. Let's just leave it there so you guys don't start trying to find out my sources. But basically everyone said, look, there was a wink-wink deal between Bill Belichick and Cam Newton in terms of your vaccinated, unvaccinated status. Bill ain't going to press you. Bill's just going to make sure that you're responsible for whatever decision you make. So when you make that decision in that wink-wink deal, basically it goes like this. Hey, Bill, I'm going to be here for you. Well, you know, you're going to put yourself in a compromising position and our team in a compromised position because last year you were compromised, but now we have the vaccination. You don't choose to do it. That's fine. Here's the conjecture of this. Cam's like, I promise I'll walk that high rope, that tight rope, and I won't fall down. And Bill's like, okay, because you know there is going to be a consequence. Now, the consequence wasn't direct. The consequence wasn't in the moment. The consequence was you let someone who's the future of this franchise, who you're in a direct competition with, get almost a week of practice in training camp. Do you know how injured I've seen a teammate go out there with one leg and one toe just to get the practice reps in training camp to keep his job? Cam Newton lost sight of that. He lost perspective of that. The vaccinated status, unvaccinated status is a different conversation, but it plays into this conversation. Because once Cam was compromised, the New England Patriots were compromised. So then they all of a sudden had to insert and assert someone who wasn't ready for a starting role. But what happened? That guy, Mac Jones, in that starting role for 3 days of practice, looked like he could be the starter. And you know how it is. Let's take you into an Uber ride since, actually, most people would choose since you don't drink. You are the Uber. But let me just go into an Uber ride if you've ever been in an Uber before. There's an auxiliary cord if you've ever been in an Uber. And whoever got the auxiliary cord got the power. Whoever controls the music in the Uber on the way to the club got the power. Now, Cam had it, and then Cam said, I got to go to the bathroom for 3 days. That cord, Mac Jones said, let me just plug this in. Everybody in the car started bumping to it, listening to it, said, this sounds good. Cam got back in. They said, no. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. We good. We listen to this Migos right now. And Mac Jones, all of a sudden, looked like he could fit the shoes that they thought were size for Cam Newton. It's just that simple. It's football 101. You choose your path. You got to live and die on that same path.
Let's break down these layers. Let's peel back this onion. It is very simple in football. There is an equation that trumps all, and it's this. Your level of distraction can never exceed your level of talent.
Yeah.
That's it.
I heard it.
Football can be summed up into that. Your level of distraction can never exceed your level of talent. Colin Kaepernick, why wasn't he in the league? It's not because he wasn't talented enough to be in the league. He was probably top 32, definitely top 64, and absolutely top 96 at the quarterback position. But his level of distraction at some point began to exceed his level of talent. Old school Tim Tebow, not tight end Tim Tebow, old school Tim Tebow, the Tebow I played with in 2015. He was probably a top 64 quarterback, wasn't top 32. But his level of distraction exceeded his level of talent. Same can be said for Eric Reed. Cam Newton's level of distraction has unfortunately exceeded his level of talent. Talk about it on the football field. We're talking about Cam Newton on the sidelines. Cameras watching him just to give a high five to Mac Jones. During the regular season, we're always talking about Cam Newton's outfits. And now, after missing practice because of COVID, speculating, vaccinated, unvaccinated. Where was he? What was he doing? His level of distraction has exceeded that level of talent. And as a result, you got to go. It might not be just. It typically isn't just because ask several people, Colin Kaepernick's cause was just. Tim Tebow, it ain't his fault he's a star. It's just who he was. It's who he always has been. He's a star. Cam Newton, not necessarily his fault he caught COVID. It's not his fault he was a league MVP and he dresses the way he dresses and he is so captivating. But it's the nature of the beast. We don't set the rules. We just understand the rules and thus play by them. Cam's level of distraction superseded his level of talent, and thus he was released. Could he have been a backup? Sure. But are you going to keep Cam Newton behind Mac Jones? Why are you going to go and do that?
Well, yeah. What you're saying is something that we used to say, don't let your personality get louder than your production. Okay. And Cam Newton's personality did get louder. Like, his reputation precedes him so much that when you meet him, you already have all the preconceived notions, and you just met a star. Now, that star can never go anywhere and be dimmer because Cam Newton is the man. Like, he's iconic. I don't care about his production going forward, or even if he gets a job, we'll talk about that going forward. Cam Newton walks in the room, and I've been in a room before with Cam Newton. It's a different room. And Cam Newton doesn't even have to come with the big hats. He ain't got to come with all the antics. He can just be Cam Newton, but everything precedes Cam Newton. So that comes into play with this. You bring up Kaepernick, you bring up Cam Newton, you bring up these really capable starters, but certainly superstar backups. Here's the problem with that. Ownership knows, teams know, coaches know, and players sometimes get it. But fans, they're in the dark of this. Don't mess with the money. Underneath those shoulder pads, underneath that helmet is a person. But that person is a dollar sign in terms of opportunity and in terms of employment and in terms of keeping this billions and billions of dollar industry afloat. When you mess with the money, which means mess with the opportunity, which means compromise the health of those participating, for whatever reason, we have a discussion. Colin Kaepernick was a different reason. You were messing with the money because there was such contention about what you were doing in demonstration. Not your cause, your demonstration. Different conversation for a different time. Cam Newton found himself in that position right here. And we always talk about it. Nobody cares what you're doing, Cam, when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. It's when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Talk about
everybody start caring about what you up to.
Talk about it.
And so now you see Cam Newton, his production, this is what's crazy. And I've talked to many of teammates who found themselves at the Greyhound bus station that was better than someone still on the team. That's not this conversation. It's not a talent-based conversation fully. It's not even a production-based conversation fully. It's a professionalism conversation that becomes difficult to articulate to those who are foreign to it. But Cam Newton wasn't foreign. He just made a choice that came back to eat itself, and now he's in this predicament.
And the kicker cell is, if we're being real, purely talking ball, we didn't see Cam Newton get much better, unfortunately. Now, we didn't see have much of an opportunity to. The time Cam Newton shined was against the Eagles' backups in their second preseason game, if I am not mistaken. I think he went 8 for 9, had 151 passer rating. Only time he's ever had 150-plus passer rating was in his MVP season, Week 14, one time in Cam Newton's entire career. So it's not as though we saw Cam make some sort of drastic improvement that said, yes, we want him to be our starter. Because the Patriots didn't see that, what are they supposed to do? In my mind, Cam Newton, Mac Jones were probably going to yield the same output in this season. Probably going to get the same amount of wins, somewhere between, I would say, 8 to 10 wins between Cam Newton and Mac Jones. But if you start Mac, at least you know the ceiling is higher. If you start Cam, you hitting your head on the ceiling because he's already tapped out. He won a league MVP, for crying out loud. He happened to win it 5 years ago, but he showed that he was the best. And since then, unfortunately, due to injuries in large part, Cam has been on the decline. So anybody who says they're shocked that Cam Newton was released either wasn't paying attention to the blatant information or didn't read the fine print. And the fine print says, 1, if you draft a quarterback in the first round, he probably gonna start. 2, your level of distraction cannot exceed your level of talent. And we know Cam Newton, and it's not even his fault, incredibly distracting. Dude was in the headlines last week because an ignorant person made a statement about it's Cam Newton's rap music that's causing Cam Newton's play to suffer. That ain't got nothing to do with Cam. That has to do with ignorance around Cam. But it still hit Cam. And so as I look at it, Sel, there's no shock. There's no surprise. It's very unfortunate because Cam is probably a 30 to 32 quarterback in this league, but he has that top flight level of persona and distraction. And for what?
Yeah, shock and awe, huh? No shock, but oh, damn, Cam. Got caught up in this. Ask Willie McGinnis about how Bill Belichick gets down when he wants to get down. Bill Belichick, Willie McGinnis helped him win 3 Super Bowl titles in 4 years. He didn't retire a Patriot, did he? Okay. Lawyer Malloy, y'all remember that? Want to go back? How about my boy Ty Law? Like, Bill Belichick, how about in the Super Bowl, I will bench my #1 defensive back and won't even tell y'all why. Y'all messing with the wrong dude. Talking about walking the high tightrope, Cam Newton in New England. We have so much more on Cam Newton, so I'm going to save some of this for other times and other laps.